Hello everybody, my name is Sophie and welcome back to another video. I'm out of practice, but that's not stopping me. It's not stopping me from hating. Powerless by Lauren Robbie. Lauren, what are you doing? I read Powerless in the hopes of my love for romantasy to be rejuvenated. Because if you haven't been able to tell yet, I didn't like it. But I did get dressed up for it, so that accounts for something. This is a book that was written by the people, for the people, is the best way I can describe it. It was written by someone who wanted to write a book for themselves, to read their favorite things in a book, and then they decided to publish it, and now we're here. So I will be talking about different aspects, and if you only want to hear about the rant, there are timestamps in the description, you can skip forward. No shade, no tea, but don't complain about it in the comments. Sometimes the comments are like, why are you talking so long in the intro? Bitch, just skip forward. Bitch. I have to watch out. I can't swear that much anymore. I got in trouble. My last video, the first time ever it happened, I got demonetized. Yes, I did. And you're gonna say, why, girl? What happened? What did you say? I said the C word. See you next Tuesday. You're not allowed to say that word on YouTube. They equal it out to the N word. So I don't know if the person that checks the monetization issues is like always an American person, because maybe you can just say it in German. That being said, you want to know about Powerless, and I do too. But before I talk about anything related to the author and how this book came to be and what this is about, I want to say you want to know about Powerless. And so I have decided to put a new segment. You want to know about this book. And so I have decided to establish a new segment. What did I like? Quite frankly, I liked nothing about this book, but I will still try to give you a recommendation if you haven't read the book and you still click this video, because obviously we're talking spoilers. And if you're here and you're still not sure if you want to rate this or not, then I'm gonna give you a little option, like unspoiler opinion. This book was written with every single standard fantasy book that you've ever read in mind. It's the same thing. It's nothing is new about this book. We see here the Hunger Games. This was heavily inspired by the Hunger Games. I'll talk about it more in the spoiler section, but when I say heavily, I genuinely mean there are scenes completely copied from those books. Oh no. I'm scared. The mechanics are calling me. I don't want to pick up. This book is nothing new. It's nothing exciting, and if you've read a lot of fantasy in your lifetime, you will not be excited by this. I see the appeal for some people. I think as a beginner fantasy, this would be a good recommendation. Like, if my friend came to me and said, Sophie, I want to get into fantasy, what should I read? Maybe I would recommend them Powerless. Not because I think it has any redeeming qualities, but just because there's potential to go upward after this, right? Because it's easy to understand. It's nothing complicated. It's not, you know, it's just a book. It's just a book, and it's no different from any other book that you've read. A lot of people like the main two characters, their banter. This is a slow burn, rivals to lovers. It's insta-love, but okay. I also respect the author's grind, because she is 21. She's even younger than me. I don't think I've ever reviewed a book by someone younger than me. I'm only 23. It's not like I'm, you know, chill. But she's already gotten that deal. You know, she's getting that back. She will probably never have to work a proper job in her life, I assume, now that she is a signed author. And so I respect the grind. And she also tends to read reviews. Don't do it. Don't watch this if you're watching this, because I feel like she's also chronically online. And so I just honestly, truly recommend to you. I'm gonna be so mean in this video. Please don't watch this, like, for your own peace of mind. The thing is, this book, also with the way it was written, is very juvenile, and people then argue she wrote this book when she was 18 and then she self-published it, and now she's 21 and the second book is coming out. So I imagine that the second book that's now going to come out in a week, actually, I've been trying to get it early at the bookstore and I have not been able to, so otherwise this would be a double review. I've never done a double review, but I would have made it into one. Since she wrote it when she was 18 and now she wrote the second one a few years later, it's gonna read differently, especially because with the process of self-publishing and traditional publishing is so much different, and you have so much more people with knowledge behind you, that I'm sure the second book is going to read very differently. But she has potential to become an author that it's just there's potential to be better. I've read books by authors like Jennifer L. Armentrout who are way older, way more experienced, and they read exactly the same way. And so I think that because of that, and she's young and doesn't have any experience and a lot of more potential to grow in her writing, that she could become way better than this book is. Okay, I'm giving her some grace here. I'm really giving her some grace. It's also a very quick read and a very easy read. Not that I read it quickly or easily. This book is 500 pages, did not need to be 500 pages. You could have definitely made it shorter. I feel like I'm just yapping now, guys. I'm gonna thank my members. My members get my videos a day early. They also get exclusive content such as my Ruby Red movie commentary. There's also the option to vote on my next reads, and that's why I read this. But I influenced them a little bit. I said I kind of want to read Powerless, and so everyone voted for Powerless. They also get stickers in the comments, and my eternal peace and love, and a shout out in my video. And we do have a new member, guys. We have a new member, and I have a question to this member. Their name is Emily Schreer. Are you German? We have to unite, because honestly, I don't think any of my members are German. And since you've become a member, I haven't made a video, and that was 12 days ago. I'm so sorry. And I still have to edit this, so it's gonna be even longer. I'm so sorry, Emily. Thank you for sticking with me. I don't think any of my members are German. None of them have revealed themselves to me yet. So I do think we need some more Germans here. Not that I don't love my members, but, you know, represent. My review on Goodreads was really something I pondered over for a while. I wanted to make it witty and funny, but I just could not think of anything because I was speechless by the end of the book. I ended up going with a fact. She mentioned the word dagger 101 times. If you don't want to do the math, for a 500-page book, that means every 5 pages. The highlight was in chapter 65. Where out of those 101 times, she mentioned the word dagger 8 times in that chapter. 8 times in one chapter. Put the dagger down. That's just the entire vibe you need to know. The main character has a dagger and she is willing to put it to your throat every other page. Every other page. Put it down! Take a nap. The author is called Lauren Roberts. I wrote down Lauren Robbie Bobby. Lauren Robbie Bobby is 21. She wrote the book at 18 and she self-published it by 20. During this time, I think she said, oh my god, actually you know what? I've been watching interviews and reading interviews by her to get more information because I know my shit, or at least I try. She said that it was a shower thought. No, I can't hear it anymore. She keeps going with this fuck-ass story saying, oh, I'm so sorry, Lauren Robbie Bobby, I'm sorry. She keeps saying, one day I was in the shower and I had this thought of a book. And then I went on TikTok live. And then people were like, oh my god, you have to write that book. Don't listen to people on TikTok. She started making TikTok videos about books when she was 16. Then she amassed this following through the normal videos that she would make. And she would share things she wrote for college, which I'm not sure what she studied in college. She never said, as far as I'm concerned. Probably something creative if she had to write something for it. And then people would tell her, you have to write a book. Oh my god, your writing is so good. And you know what? Stay delusional. This book reads the same as my fan fictions that I would write when I was 12. And if you don't believe me, there's proof on this channel that I have read out before. I'm not shy. And so everyone who's like, oh, she was 18, give her some grace. No, because I did that better when I was 6 years younger. Imagine my potential now. I have to stop saying that. It's gonna get me in trouble. You know, she had the shower thought. She wrote nothing. Went on TikTok Live, told everyone on TikTok Live. There was someone in this TikTok Live with the name Payden, which then ended up being the main character's name because she thought the name was funky. Shout out to Payden. Without you, we wouldn't be here, and that would honestly just be better. She then proceeds to write the book within 3 months and goes off to college again. Then 2 years later, she tells her mom, Mom, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to publish a book. Her mom says, okay, come home. She goes back home. She finishes writing her book. She self-publishes it. It's a hit. It's a hit. After 3 months of it being self-published, she gets a book deal with Simon & Schuster. People on TikTok love this book to death. I've seen a lot of popular book talkers and booktubers talk about this too. They hype it up like it's the next Harry Potter. And it's funny that I'm saying Harry Potter. There's a reason for that. Like, I wouldn't take that into my mouth without reason. While watching an interview earlier, I looked at the comments, and the first comment that popped up was, oh my god, I had to pause the interview and just laugh. I feel like Lauren is going to be the next J.K. Rowling Harry Potter. Like, I need this to be a movie, because, like, why not? But the characters must look like how they look in the books. You heard it from Zarina Mukudem 9741. What the fuck? I'm not sure what makes you say that this is going to be the next Harry Potter. I am genuinely unsure of how this jump happened. As I said, people mostly love this relationship between the two main characters because of their banter. We will be elaborating on that. Other than that, this book is a plain copy of literally every book, and I also will be elaborating on that because I have credentials. I have been reading for a long time, and so I know what I'm talking about. And you just have to trust me. Intermission from Sophie from the future. While I was filming this entire video, or all the parts where I don't look like this, it was so hot in Germany. Believe it or not. Not because of me. My camera kept overheating, and so it was a very frustrating process, and this video genuinely has taken so much time, and it's still so long. I know, because I already edited everything. So, because it was so hot, my camera kept overheating, because the battery would warm up, and then it would shut down. Kind of like your phone battery. You know when that happens, when it's super hot? And some things were cut out, which is why I'm here from the future. Because I have a thing to say. A thing or two, or three, or four. Firstly, people have pointed out that the books have the same name as Elsie Silver's books. Elsie Silver writes cowboy romance. She's been gaining a lot of traction recently though, which is why people pointed it out. She also has a book called Powerless, Reckless, and now also the third book was announced. This entire video was such a long process, don't ask. And the third book in the series is going to be called Fearless. Speak now. It's going to be called Fearless, and that's also one of Elsie Silver's books. Also, the colors are the same. I think that's just a funny coincidence, though. I feel like that's a way more fitting title, all of these, for a fantasy book than a fucking cowboy romance. So, next on the list, Hunger Games Red Queen Baby. This is very interesting, and you will hear me talk about it a lot. Oh my god, I think at the point we are right now, you don't even know why it says that. Lauren Roberts has advertised this book as being a baby of the books Hunger Games and Red Queen. And a lot of people have then accused her of plagiarism. She did say that it's a Hunger Games Red Queen baby that looks nothing like its parents as it grows older. People kind of like to critique just her saying it's their baby, period. And that's not how the quote goes. Okay, you gotta get your facts straight. She said it doesn't look like its parents as it gets older. Whether that's true or not, obviously someone who's read the rest of the books has to judge. I don't know that. Or do I? Watch to the end of the video. But funnily enough, I was on TikTok earlier, and I wanted to say belated, doesn't that mean they're dead? My very much alive, long past queen, Victoria Avia, the author of the Red Queen series, came onto my For You page, and she occasionally does. She talks a lot about publishing and writing processes, and she made a video, it's literally a day old, it was made just for me, where she was like, people need to be aware of what they're saying regarding plagiarism in the publishing industry, because plagiarism is so hard to prove, and stories are just similar and everything. And then she just kind of talked about the fact that she was annoyed by people who would get the dates wrong, because apparently, allegedly, I don't know if this is true, people accused Victoria Avia, the author of Red Queen, of plagiarizing Powerless. I don't think so. It's the other way around, allegedly. I'm not saying Lauren Roberts plagiarized anything, I'm just saying she was heavily, maybe a little bit too much inspired, taking entire scenes. We'll talk more about it in the review part, but Victoria Avia pointed out that people were apparently coming for her, telling her that she plagiarized Powerless, even though that book came out like 10 years before Powerless. So that obviously doesn't line up. And so she just points out, if you're going to accuse someone of plagiarism, which is a super difficult thing to do in the literary what the fuck did I just yodel? In the literary world, you have to be aware of what you're doing, or she's gonna come for you. She liked one comment under that video. It said, I read both Powerless and Red Queen, loved them both even if they are similar. And then she responded to another person saying, not gonna lie, this would really just itch my skin every time I think about it. I'm so sorry that you're dealing with this, and that she's profiting from taking almost copy and paste scenes from y'all. And then Victoria Aveyard responds, my only issue are people who can't figure out publication dates. If anything, I hope new readers who love Powerless love Red Queen next. She's being a really good sport about it, I have to say. She's being really nice about it. I wouldn't be that nice about it. So that is that. But another thing that happened is AI drama. Allegedly, Lauren Roberts posted a lot of AI art, kind of like Alex Nestor. Fuck that woman. On her Instagram, primarily. AI fan art of her book that she was really excited about, because I guess when your book isn't that big, there's not that many artists that are going to draw it, and so she was just like, okay, I'm gonna do AI art. I don't really know. All of these pictures have already been taken off of her Instagram, so this is all just hearsay. But apparently she would post it on her Instagram, and then people will point out it's AI art, which we don't fuck with AI art. I stand against that firmly. I do love ChatGPT, but AI art, that's where I draw the line. And she just apparently allegedly did not give a fuck. I mean, that's what they're saying, right? And then people kind of elaborated on this and would say, oh, she was defending AI art. I don't know if that's true. She did eventually take it off of her Instagram and then post like an apology on her Instagram where she was like, I'm so sorry, I wasn't aware. But I can't find it right now. I deleted everything off my phone. After my exams, I was like, I'm so done with everything. So that's a thing that happened. But again, she apologized. She took it off her Instagram. I don't know if she defended AI art. If she was like, I stand with AI art. I'm not sure. I don't know. It's all alleged. Something I also assume is that maybe with the second book now, it came out like 2 days ago. The things that happen in that book, and I don't know, I'm just assuming again, she maybe just did what people were saying online. Because I fear that there is some kind of love triangle going on. I can't really go into depth until the end of the video about this. But this is an idea that she said she didn't have while she was writing, and people just kind of picked up on it. So what I mean by that is that I think she's someone that reads way too much about what people have to say about her online. And is also someone that reads like theories, and if she really likes one, she's gonna do it. I don't know how big the creative bone is in her body. Sorry. That's all. That's the entire intermission. Back to past Sophie, sweating Sophie, but slaying Sophie. Anyway, I hope everybody can tell that I haven't yapped in a while, so I think I'm just gonna get into the book now, because this is embarrassing. Main character's name is Peyton. She is a thief, and she is a slummer. She lives in the slums. She is not like other girls, because in this world, which by the way, this kingdom is called Ilia, and the Selections kingdom is also called Ilia, so shower thoughts. We will blame everything on the shower thoughts in this video, all of the comparisons and the similarities, because she just thought of it in the shower. It's not uncommon for things to be similar. Bitch. This kingdom rules because in this kingdom there is 3 groups of people. You have the ones with the powers that are super strong, the ones with the boring powers, and the ones without powers. The ones without powers, they need to get out. They're not allowed in this city. They're not allowed in there because the super strong ones, which are called the elites, they have spread a rumor. And that rumor is that those people carry a disease and that everyone's gonna die. Or something. Because back in the day, 3 decades ago, people were killed by the plague or they got powers, and some people didn't get powers. So for some reason, the ordinaries are gonna, which is the people without powers, is gonna get everyone sick with powers. Okay, the people with boring powers, they get to be in the city. They get to be in the city, the other ones, they have to die. They have to die, sorry. Hayden is an ordinary. She doesn't have any power, she's powerless, you could say. Wait, where's the book? Oh. Wait. She is powerless, and I also want to say that I read the ebook. I have this book. I got it for my birthday, which was in January, so... And I still read the ebook, and I'm not sure what ebook I read because there were so many typos in it. And some of them I checked with the proper version, and they weren't there. So there was some kind of editing process done when it got republished by a proper publisher. But I don't know about all of them because I didn't check all of them. But just some I did and they were corrected, so that's good. Hayden, the main character, she doesn't want to be a thief. She doesn't want to be a thief. And since she's not allowed to live in the city, she has to come up with a lie. She has to come up with a lie, and she tells everyone she's a psychic. And everyone believes her. Her dad realized that she was powerless at a very young age. And he was a healer, and so he was like, oh, I love you so much. I don't want you to be gone and killed, and so you have to pretend to have a power, which is like what everybody does who lives there and doesn't have a power. And that is being a psychic. And so she just picks up on context clues and is very basic. Hayden herself is such a boring main character. Again, this book is so juvenile in all of its ideas. They're not particularly thought out. She wrote this and just kind of wrote it and was like, okay, we're going to roll with this. And I think that with now the books that are going to come out, because this is going to be a trilogy, she might run into some issues because of that. Hayden has absolutely no flaws. She's a very, again, 2014 heroine that we've read about so many times. There's nothing about her that is wrong. She can't do any wrong. Boring main character. Honestly, she has thought process that no one cares about. And then you have to come up with an idea, okay? You yourself have to come up with the idea. How do you think she meets the prince that she falls in love with? How do you think they meet when she's a thief? Yes, she accidentally robs him. Doesn't know it's him. This is something that, if you haven't read The Red Queen, is exactly the same thing in Red Queen. Shower thoughts! I had this thought, I had this idea. Have I read this before? You know, I do have to say, I have to defend her a little bit, because when I was 12 years old and I was trying to come up with my own stories, I was trying to figure out a story, and I myself came up with the idea of maybe just like putting a bunch of children of Greek gods into a camp. But I didn't know about Percy Jackson. I was not thinking of Percy Jackson at all. And I was like, oh my god, that is a great idea. And then I like started thinking more about it again. I was very young. I was just like, I don't know, hab Filme geschoben. And then I realized, oh wait, this exists already. And if I had continued with that, I would be Lauren Roberts right now. Because that's what she did. She read Red Queen and was like, I'm gonna do that again. I'm gonna do it again. The first line of the book is, thick, hot liquid runs down my arm. Blood. Blood in bold italics. Bold italics will be on every single page. They will be on every single page. I don't know why. You don't use that on every single page. Use it for emphasis. You use bold italics to emphasize empathize. It's a hard word. If you want to emphasize something, you can use bold italics. The most basic example I can think of is when a character is thinking, oh, and then the next line is oh again, but in bold italics. That is when you use it. You don't use it on every single fucking page. Stop. And it's not just that Hayden does it. This is a dual POV. We have the prince's POV too. His name is Kai, but his full legal name is Malachi. And he uses it too. Every single character uses bold italics because we also get the other, there's another brother, just like Red Queen, don't worry, like everything is Red Queen. So if you miss Red Queen and you don't want to reread it, just read this book. Then you have like a little bit of something new, a little bit of Hunger Games in it. First of all, I don't like that line. Second of all, that's how the entire book reads. It's so simplistic. I need something more educated. No, I'm kidding. No, but it's just very juvenile. But I've said that before. I don't know, is there like a synonym for juvenile so I don't have to say that over and over again? For example, the place where she lives, it's called Loot Alley. And then the arena where they fight is called the Bowl Arena. I love when I don't have to think of complicated names and I just can name things like the Star Stick from Light Lark. I love things like that. Why is this like the Hunger Games? Well, in this world, as we know, it's separated by powers and she is hiding in plain sight. And every or something. I'm not sure the timeline because it's never really specified. Nothing about what I'm going to say right now is specified. There are the purging trials. The purge is happening in Ilya. Why? Hello, that's a question to you. Why? I don't know why the purging trials are happening. No one really knows. It's to show off the powers of the elites, but it really doesn't make any sense. And I'm gonna skip forward a little bit and call someone out by name. Nikki, if you are watching this right now, her friend Nikki, I genuinely need you to reevaluate your logical thinking. Nikki, thank you for not only listening to me rant about plot holes, but for helping me find ways to resolve them. That bitch did not do anything. Nikki, I don't know what you did. You sabotaged her. Lauren, you were sabotaged by Nikki. I'm starting beef between them. Nothing in this book makes sense. Oh my god, I was watching an interview and they said in that interview, first of all, your world building is so good. And I was like, did we read the same book? The purging trials happen because she needs some kind of trials, but then she didn't think about them further. They are kind of reasoned with by being said that it's to showcase and celebrate the best elites, and apparently the people that live in the city, the people with boring powers that are not elites, they fuck heavy with these trials. Like, fuck them up. We love these, watching these. Why? Why would they love watching these? What the fuck? What Mehrwert does it have for them? I'm just gonna use German words and just hope you understand what I'm saying. There's no added value for these people. It would make sense if these were trials for the people with the boring powers, so they could earn themselves like a spot amongst the really powerful ones and live in a they're not gonna live in a castle, but like to become an elite and just upgrade their life and maybe get a more prestigious job, if that was the goal of the trial. But it's not. The goals of the trials is literally nothing. It doesn't make sense. Anyway, you look at it, the whole concept of them doesn't make sense. Why would you put your strongest, upcoming elites, including the future enforcer, which I don't know what that means. It's one of the princes that she falls in love with. One future enforcer. What the fuck? ACAB. They put him in there. Why do they need to put him in there? Why is he fighting his childhood friends to the death? Why do they want to kill each other? They grew up together. What the fuck? And then there's 3 trials in total, and there is no scoring system in place. I don't remember who won the first trial. It could have been Peyton, but she definitely wins the second trial. And then the last one is won by the antagonist, which was just a girl that had a crush on the prince, because, we're in 2014. That's what I don't get. People who hype this book up, have you never read a fantasy before, or have you just not read a fantasy that was this juvenile in a long time? Because fantasies today are better quality. It's not my words, I'm just assuming. I'm not sure about it, but as I said, there's different people who win the trials, and then this bitch person, her name is Blair. Blair wins the last trial and she wins the whole thing. So why did we have the other trials? And then, I'm just taking this ahead of right now because we're talking about the trials. It's a basic world building and the plot hole were fixed by Nikki. Nikki said, yeah, you know what, it's a great idea to just put fucking wish-ass Caesar Flickerman in this. There's literally a character that does the exact same things as in the Hunger Games, the interviews with Caesar Flickerman. She is described to look the same way as him. She has blue hair, funky hair, and the same personality. And she's interviewing the candidates before the trial and after the trial. And I think it's insinuated that she does this multiple times. After every trial, they get interviewed and before every trial. And then at one point, they do talk about the scores. Because apparently the interviews were held for scores. And then, I don't even know what place Peyton was on, the third. And Kai was first. And they talk about it being yeah, you need to get good scores. The people need to vote for you. Why? There's no reason for this. They don't get anything. I can't even explain it properly. You truly just have to read it to be as confused as I am. Because I'm telling you, there's trials and there's interviews that are going to be okay, good. There's scores, okay, good. But there's no reason for this. Why are there scores? Why are we doing them? There's nothing is tied together. Everything is just put in loosely. And she hopes that you make a connection yourself. But I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Anyway, I spoiled you, she does lose the trials, but that's because her best friend dies. Yeah, I know. Anyway, back to the basics, right? This was way ahead of its time. It was over 3 decades ago when sickness swept through the land. Due to the outbreak of what was likely a common illness, the king's healers used the opportunity to claim that ordinaries were carrying an undetectable disease, saying it was likely the reason they hadn't developed abilities. Extended exposure to them became harmful to both elites and their powers, and over time, the ordinaries were dwindling, and the abilities elites are so protective of. Well, this doesn't make any sense because I thought the disease was the reason they had abilities. Why do they have abilities then? Oh my god, it even says the king's name. His name is Edric. Instead of Eric, it's Edric. I didn't even realize. That's a fucking stupid ass name. The 6th purging trials is about to begin. Remember the purging. Thank the plague. Honor to your kingdom, your family, and yourself. You could be the next victorious elite. Because as far as I'm concerned, you can apply to take part in the trials. And so the really strong elites apply to take part in a... Why? What is the added value? What is the mehrwert? What are we doing? Every 5 years, young elites are chosen to compete in these games for both the glory and enough shillings to build your own comfy castle. She says comfy. I didn't even realize. Comfy castle? Bitch, that word is comfortable. That word you're looking for is comfortable. While you try to escape the trauma the trials cause you, but like, don't you have enough money already if you're an elite? No sense is being made here. She also explicitly calls them the young elites multiple times, which, guys, no one ever talks about the series, but The Young Elites by Mary Lou was my shit back in the day. The Young Elites is also a story about a young girl, but she does have powers, and she becomes the villain. Yeah, recommendation. I don't know what I thought about it. I was like 14 reading it. I don't remember it that well. I do remember that The Young Elites was a book about young people with power that they got through an illness, and that the main character had white hair. Coincidentally, this main character also has white hair. Shower thoughts! Maybe this should say shower thoughts instead of help. Well, I'll do it for the next time you'll see me. Don't worry. More info dump. After the purging, when the ordinaries were banished to the Scorches, which is a desert, to protect Ilya from their disease, the king decreed that any remaining ordinaries found in the kingdom would be executed. Okay. I'm not sure, by the way, when I read out these quotes, as I said, it's dual POV, whose POV I'm in, because they read exactly the same. It is literally the king, the second-born, one. It's Kai, the future enforcer, the future major cop, the president of the cops. He is the second-born, and his brother is the heir, and they're similar in age, because maybe they're the same age, because I think someone's mom died. So they're only half-brothers, but I'm not going to be talking about Kid, A Peace and Love, like, I'm not going to be talking about that man, he's blonde. But also I'm not going to be talking about him because there's no reason to. He is so boring, but just so you know, there's 2 brothers, there's 2 rivaling brothers, but they fuck with each other kinda, which is, like, oddly reminiscent of that one book called Red Queen. Shower thought. The types of missions enforcers get sent on are anything but heroic. I've had dozens over the years, all part of my training to become the future executioner, commander of armies, and right-hand man to the king. Everything from battle strategies and executions to interrogations and torture fall into my line of work as the expected enforcer. All glimpses into my bright future. Listen, bitch, this man never executes anyone in this entire book. He does do a kill or 2, and there's like one torture scene that is not explicit at all. It's just like, I just tortured this man. We never get to see it on page, which is yet another issue. I can't even progress in telling you about the plot because I just have so many issues with it. This lady... And it's so funny to me too because she talked about it in the fucking interview. She was like, you have to find a balance between showing, not telling. And it's like, you have to find a balance. And she talks about it in the interview that I watched. And she only tells. She never shows. It is reiterated hundreds of times how Kai has such a terrible life. He's had to kill so many people. He's tortured so many people. He's so evil. He's a monster. All he does is like... try to fuck Peyton. These bitches don't do anything. You know what I mean? I'm not buying it, bitch. I'm not buying it. Also, he doesn't have any different color hair. Why is that? Continuing onward, at one point, Kai does decide to kill someone. This is the one incident where she does try to show us something, but she just proves that he's a bad person. He is sent into the loot alley where all the poor bitches live to kill someone. Let's just update ourselves. We have so far the main character who's a thief, but she doesn't want to be a thief. She has no powers, but pretends to have psychic powers so she doesn't get killed. Then we have the two princes. One of them has to be the new king. I think that might also be called an heir, you know? And the other one is gonna be the future. And the other one is gonna be the future president of the police. They don't have the same mother. They are half brothers. The older one is not the love interest. It's the future cop is the love interest. I think she was, well, I know she wasn't going for a love triangle, but a lot of people interpret it as one. Also, if I look shiny, mind your fucking business. I'm sweating my ass off. If you're wondering what kind of powers they have, you can take a wild guess if you've read Red Queen. Fire. Our thoughts, she just kind of came up with that. This is all exactly the same in Red Queen. By the way, like everything I just mentioned happens exactly like that, is exactly like that. The future king, the heir, his name is Kit. I think that's I don't like that name. His power is fire and water. So he's a dual wielder. And for the love interest Kai, his power is being a wielder, which means he can wield any power. Yeah. She keeps saying, oh, you know, I'm a psychic and my ability comes and goes, so that's why you can't feel it, because usually he can feel it when someone has a power and so he can use it himself. He just believes it. It's funny because this scene happens, I think, 3 times the exact same way in the book, where she will tell someone that she's a psychic and they will say, oh, I've never met a psychic before. What does it mean? And then she explains it the exact same way 3 times. I got it the first time, but you know, maybe I'm just better than everyone. Our main dude, Kai, he hates killing people even though he kills people. Again, we're told this, that he kills people. We're not shown this. We just have to believe it. His job is to go into the city to kill the ordinaries that are hiding there. And he gets sent into the city to kill an ordinary that is hiding there. And he finds a family. And the ordinary is hiding under the floorboard. He knows all the tricks. They then get banished, the family, and the ordinary has to be killed. That's the decree. Instead of doing this, he lets the family into the desert, because if they cross the desert, there's a city there where ordinaries can live. Okay, we're just gonna go with it. And if they make it there, you know, good luck to them, and if they don't, they don't. But that makes me think, like, why wouldn't the ordinaries that live in that city put up, like, a rescue thing to help the people that are trying to cross the desert? How big is this desert that they're able to potentially cross it? What's going on? Why don't they attack this kingdom? What is going on? I'm confused. Alas, Kai, of course, goes to kill the little child, and then he's like, oh my god. Oh wait, never mind. He gets the child and he puts it in the desert with the family and leaves them there. And it's like, from here on out, guys, there's nothing I can do. So, to me, this read as him being a fucking asshole. Just because he doesn't kill the child directly, he still kills it indirectly, because the probability of it surviving this treacherous desert are very, very slim. This is not discussed further. He doesn't seem to have, like, any animosity, okay, big word, towards the ordinaries at all. He never has any complex thoughts. You know what I mean? Kind of like that meme where you're like, when you hear a man, peace and love to all the men watching, when you hear a man talk about something that they think is deep and philosophical, and that's like a thought that you had with your friends in 5th grade. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting with Kai. Like, he doesn't really think. He is a cop after all. But he's ripped, and he has a tattoo. He has black hair, he has blue eyes, and so, you know, he gets away with it. It's not discussed further. At the end of the day, I think this could have been an interesting character discussion if he had, like, genuinely hated the ordinaries because he thought they were bad, and then he realized through the pain that they weren't bad or something like that. But no, we're supposed to believe he is the good guy because he doesn't kill a child directly but indirectly. It's entire family at that. So he saved them by putting them into the desert that's gonna kill them. Love him. The way they meet is Peyton steals from him on accident when he's in the city after he just indirectly killed the family. They flirt a little bit because she pretends to run into him and stumble, and then she steals his coins, and he's like, oh my god, you're so hot. And she's like, wait, you wanna fuck? I can't swear that much anymore, you know I got demonetized. They part ways, and as he is walking the loot alley, as we know it's called, he encounters a silencer. I'm scared. Don't be afraid. This silencer silences powers. Oh my god. Could you have guessed that? No, right? Very complex thought. Kai, for some reason, I don't know how old he's supposed to be, probably like 20. The lady, the lady is always 18 and the dude is always 20. He, for some reason, has never really trained with a silencer. He does then later on, but it comes across as he's never done it in his life, which is so confusing to me. This silencer is part of the resistance and they're trying to kidnap him. And he just makes it so nobody can use their power. A silencer makes it so you can't use your power. But don't worry, because later in the book, Kai silences the silencer, because as we know, he can take other people's powers, and then he was training with another silencer, and then he silences the silencer's powers. Did you get that? But for now, you know, he's in trouble. He doesn't know how to do that yet. So I keep wanting to say Mare. And ironically, that's the main character from Red Queen. I keep wanting to say her name. Peyton comes in and saves him from the silencer. She's like, I don't even know why I'm doing this. I'm just doing it because he's hot, probably. Yes, that's why you're doing it. That's why you're doing everything in this book. If you want to know more about the powers in this book, there's not really much I can tell you. Everything is very simplistic and juvenile. There's not much thinking you have to do it because Mrs. Lauren didn't put much thinking into it herself. She just kind of wrote it for the vibes. This is just for the vibes. Just an example. The strong people in this book that have strength, they're called brawny. Yeah. And, for example, the king is a brawny. That's his power. How power is passed through lines is unclear. In Red Queen, I think there was it was like the families had different abilities. The powerful families all had the same ability. But why am I mentioning this? Well, because as I remember in Red Queen, the king also had strength powers. Shower thoughts. Other than that, there's all different kinds of things. There's like people that can watch things, and then what they watch, they can project, because we're doing Hunger Games, right? I didn't pay that much attention to the powers. There was no relevance for them. There was no reason for anyone to have any power. Again, Peyton doesn't have any power. I get that this is just a YA story about I'm putting way too much thought into this, honestly. It's just about a girl who doesn't have any power and still rises to the occasion, but there's no reason for anyone to have powers because she just beats everyone. So why do we care? She faces almost no setbacks, because she is just the best person in the world, as I mentioned before. Again, I am unsure about anything concerning the trial. Genuinely, what I told you earlier, as far as I remember, that was a few days ago. I don't remember what I said, if I'm being honest. But I'm sure I said whatever I had to say. I spoke my truth. She gets drafted into these games along with the future president of the cops, Kai, and a bunch of other bitches that we don't care about, and it's her. So I think there are 7 people. No, I think there are 9 people. Again, how did they get in there? Why do they want to do it? It's up to you to decide. Also, the line where they meet, I forgot to read it out. He is getting robbed. Instinctively, I reach out and steady the individual before they fall over from the impact. My arms are wrapping around their waist. Her waist. The body I'm holding undoubtedly belongs to a female. And if you thought that wasn't bad enough, it continues. Though the mass of long silver hair brushing against my arms is proof enough. Fuck men with long hair. Kai would hate Legolas. Obviously, if we have been doubting the whole Red Queen similarities up to this point, we should include something to smother people's powers. How about a stone? It's also a Red Queen. Yeah, it's a stone. Yeah. Maybe that's just the easiest way, or the easiest thing to come up with. A stone that mutes your powers. Alas, she does it, and there is a stone that mutes your powers. Over the decades, this limited supply of mute has been used to craft cells, cuffs, and shields around the stands within the bowl arena. Still can't get over the fact that it's called bowl arena. Sounds like diarrhea. Oh my god, my favorite part of this book is the interviews that they give. We only get to see the first ones, the the Hunger Games interviews, because as I mentioned earlier, I think they do it throughout the book that they're having interviews, or like they're doing a public viewing of the fucking events in the arena. They're not live streamed. They're doing a public viewing after the fact of the highlights. To put it in simpler terms. At one point before this, actually, they're training because, of course, we have to train to go into the arena, and they just keep flirting. A lot of people will tell you that the best part about this book is the banter between the two main characters. Those bitches cannot have a normal conversation. It is literally just them going back and forth, complimenting each other, not like flirting, bantering, yes. But it gets, I got sick and tired of it. If I had been 14 reading this, I would have eaten it up. For lunch, dinner, dessert, doesn't matter. But right now, as a woman, no, I'm kidding, but like, I'm just kind of over it. And honestly, it kind of annoyed me that they just didn't properly talk, ever. That they were just joking the entire fucking time. I don't even know if I have any flirting scenes of them highlighted, because they just didn't hit with me. No, I don't think they were well written. Just like this entire book. Peace and love, Lauren, you know. You know me, Lauren. Send me an art. No, don't. Actually, I was at the bookstore today again, and they still did not have the second book out on accident. Sometimes they do that here. They didn't have it, guys. I really gave it my all. He flirts with her by saying, watch out. You're bleeding. There's going to be blood in your hair. So I'm gonna braid your hair because blood is hard to wash out of your hair. That's news to me. Kai does not use soap. He does not know what soap is. We have the gender bend, Caesar Flickerman. Her name is Tila. She has blue hair, and they're interviewing her, and everyone has to demonstrate their powers. Doesn't really matter. My favorite line from this is just to demonstrate how much she is supposed to be like a quirky, well, I don't know if Katniss is supposed to be quirky, but she's like supposed to be like Katniss, but she just, it doesn't work. So Peyton, tell us about your incident with Prince Kai. My eyes trail back to Tila's, nearly blinded by her gleaming white teeth and vibrant hair. She leans towards me and places a soft hand on my shoulder, projecting my voice for all to hear. Fuck ass power projecting. Honestly, if I had a power, I would be mad if I had that. Boring. Well, according to Prince Kai, there's not much to tell, but if you ask me, I think he's a little embarrassed that a girl from the slums had to come to his rescue. The words tumble out of my mouth before I can stop them. Plagues, I need people to like me, and mocking their prince is probably not the best way to... Laughter. To my surprise and saving grace. She does thank God, the Lord and Savior, at the end of the book. Don't worry about it. I peek over my shoulder at Kai and watch the ghost of a smile grace his features. So maybe I can bash their prince after all. I can work with that. Ew. That's how she comes across to me. Peyton is not like the other girls. Peyton is such a fucking pick-me. At the end, she gets asked a question like, what do you hope to get out of, or what, I don't really know what the question was. But her answer is like, survive. She wants to survive. She just says survive as an answer. And everyone's like, oh. So true. Very much like Katniss, like, oh my god, I can't say what I'm trying to say, like, oh my god, girl, think of something yourself. For peace and for love. Come up with your own ideas. They just train and make jokes and so on, is what I wrote down as a line. Most of this book could have been cut down just because there are so many scenes of them training and laughing. It's not funny. I think at this lesson also, there's a scene where one of the main characters, she can... Oh, I didn't even talk about her yet. Her name is Blair, and no, did I mention her? It's been too long. They call her Bitchy Blair because she has a crush on the prince, and she wants to be with the prince, and the prince doesn't want to be with her. Either of them. She doesn't discriminate. And so they call her Bitchy Blair for just wanting to be with a man, and it's just like, I cannot, and I've said this multiple times, comprehend how books have come out in our roaring 20s that still follow this trail of thought and this plot of using this such a basic antagonist. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Couldn't she have some more motivation, peace and love? If this book was published in 2014, if this was Red Queen, sure. But this isn't Red Queen, this is Powerless. This is Ass Queen. There's also an antagonist that wants the prince. Yeah, in Red Queen. Yes, her power is not telepathy. Her power is controlling metal. But I think it's very similar in the ways they use it and in the way that Lauren utilizes his ability. Cheers. I just woke up from a nap, so let's see. how awake my brain is. For some reason, yet again, don't ask. Before every trial, and there's 3 trials in total, they have a ball. Okay. Like, for some reason, the rules of the trials is that they're gonna happen randomly. I thought they were gonna happen randomly. Maybe I just made that up. But anyway, they're not random because there's a ball that happens before them. They hang out and dance. Doesn't really make sense to me why you would do that before the night you could potentially die. And get, like, wasted and stay up really late. And so on and so forth. Alas, such as me. Peyton is, of course, a peasant. She doesn't know how to dance. She has never done ballroom dance before. She doesn't know how to do it. Because Kai hates her, but he also wants to... I can't swear anymore. He also wants to do it with her. He gives her secret lessons in the middle of the night. Why do I not care about this? Well, funny you ask. You know another book this happens in? Shower Thought. At this point, I started to get annoyed because there were genuinely this many similarities between the books. It just felt like I was transported back in time. At some point during this whole spiel, she also mentions in her POV that he didn't just give her lessons once, which is we only see him do it once, but that he's been giving her lessons multiple times. He has been giving her lessons. Like, he's given her a multiple amount of lessons, not just this once. Why don't I get to see that? Why? You can't just drop that and then expect me to be fine with it. These are supposed to be our 2 main people that we are rooting for to get together. We are supposed to have a crush on them, having a crush on each other. I'm not having it. I'm not feeling the vibes between them because they're not feeling the vibes between each other. Or that he's being super mean towards her. She keeps thinking in her head, oh my god, I shouldn't trust him. He's so mean to me, blah, blah, blah. And he's just, like, never mean. He just immediately wants to do it with her, so I don't really know where that's coming from. First trial, you're really curious what it is. Well, it's so... The trials are so stupid. They just hang out in an arena, and then after 5 days, it's over. Yeah. The trials the years before that apparently had only ever taken place inside the bowl arena, nowhere else, not outside, just in there. They were just fighting each other. And so Kai wakes up in this arena. He's like, oh my god, I'm so hungover from yesterday. I was like, didn't you know that the trial was gonna be the next day? Why the fuck did you get so fucking wasted? Because he saw her dance with his brother. What the fuck do I care about his brother? He's blonde. Oh, the task of stealing as many bands as possible seems fairly simple. Yeah, they have to steal each other's bands that are wrapped around their biceps in the first trial, and whoever gets the most bands wins. But yet again, I have to reiterate, this doesn't matter because I'm not sure how the point system works in these trials, but I think whoever wins the last trial just wins everything, so it doesn't really matter. They are forcing us to fight one another. And then he thinks to himself, Father has outdone himself this year. What did you do the years before? Did you not have to kill the others? What's going on with these trials? Don't try to put any sense into it because you won't find it. It doesn't make this whole concept doesn't make any sense. I'm not sure if this is before or after, but for some reason, Peyton completely forgets her one friend that she has, who's also supposedly her best friend. I don't think I've mentioned her thus far. Her name is Adina, and she is the only friend to our main character, the only female friend. Does this book pass the Bechdel test? Barely. Her best friend is also an orphan from the slums, and she's a seamstress, like Cinna. And then at one point in the book, she's like, oh my god, I've completely forgotten about Adina. Fuck. I think it's actually before the first trial, because she remembers that she has a friend that can sew, and so she invites that friend to the castle, and then the friend lives in the castle with her, and she's out of the slums, and she starts making her dresses and shit like that. I don't care. There is no relationship between the two of them. If people try to tell you differently, they're lying. They hardly ever talk about anything, the two of them. They don't discuss anything that's going on. And I don't know if I've said it before, but in the dual POV, instead of progressing the story by using 2 POVs and showing us different things happening, also, like, one thing happens the night before the trials, the next chapter is in the trials. A lot of the times, you will get a scene twice. You will just get Peyton's POV and then Kai's POV, and it's the exact same conversation happening. It's just their thoughts. And then oftentimes I was like, who the fuck's POV am I in? When I stopped reading, I went back to the book and I was in the middle of the chapter. Yes, I stopped reading in the middle of the chapter. I don't care. I don't have the time. I was like, I would be so confused who I was reading. There is no difference between these voices. There is absolutely no need for there to be two POVs. They just read the same. They have the same thoughts. Anyway, she remembers her best friend, okay? And she makes her dresses. But the reason I'm mentioning her is because there is a novella. It's Powerless 1.5. Not sure why it's called that, because that would indicate that it's something in between the first and the second book happening. But it's just the first book out of Adina's perspective. Stop giving us different perspectives if they're all going to sound the same. Genuinely don't give a fuck about Adina. I was going to say, I hope she dies, but she does. So, my wishes, you know, they were granted. It's supposed to be really emotional. I'll talk about it when it happens. Didn't give a fuck about Adina. Didn't give a fuck about when it happened, when she died. Just because there was, genuinely, I had no connection to that lady. Don't know what she was standing for, if she stood on business or anything, because her and Peyton never talk. The conversations that I have are so lackluster. And then people are like, oh my god, I cried my eyes out. And then why the fuck would I go and read the same book again out of Adina's perspective? She's like, if you want to know what Adina was doing while Peyton was in it. No. I don't want to know. You could have put that into this book if you were trying. Try a little harder. Oh my god, I also skipped over another fact I completely deleted out of my mind. The bitches are at the ball, at the first ball, right? The night before the first trial. And there's an attack. And that's how we get introduced to the resistance. Which is funny. And I'm not gonna say where I've read this before, I'm just gonna say shower thoughts. Exact same thing happens. Ball, attacked by the resistance, whatever. The resistance is obviously the ordinaries without powers, trying to regain their footing in the kingdom or whatever. Doesn't matter. Poorly thought out. I think she's really going to struggle with her world building as the series progresses, if I'm being honest. In the first trial, Peyton almost dies. And I was hoping for her to die. She is encountered with some sort of Hunger Games, Catching Fire, Jabberjacks situation. Some talking birds or something. I'm really... Can you tell I'm really trying to remember? It just made me think of the Hunger Games when I read it. It was like imitating Adina's voice, screaming for help, imitating Kai's voice, screaming for help, and she was like, oh my god, the birds are screaming for help. Then she almost dies. I don't remember how, but she does team up with Kai eventually, and they decide to team up and do this together. And this is what he thinks about her. She's bewildering as much as she is beguiling. That pretty mouth of hers says one thing, but those ocean eyes say another. She pulls a knife from my back only to say she'll bury another one there. She's confusing, captivating. We're completely wrong for each other in all the right ways. She's a flame, and I'm going to get burned. An ocean, and I'm going to drown. Get up. Kai, get up. This is like, ugh, embarrassing. I've never been so affected by a single girl, and it's absurd. Absolutely annoying. But then I grin, remembering her heartbeat hammering beneath my fingers, her breath catching every time I touch her. I don't want to read this anymore. Anyway, she almost dies. He rescues her. He heals her. They fight off some wolves together. Almost like the Hunger Games when they're also fighting some mutated wolves. Anyway, shower thoughts. Then they slow dance in the middle of these deadly trials in the middle of the forest. And they just hope that no one sees them. Everybody sees them. I'm not sure what would make you think that now is the right time to break into a waltz. Well, here we are. They get attacked, obviously, while they're dancing. I wrote down, I'm so scared. I was really scared. There's too many skips in between that don't make sense. Well, I don't remember them, so... just have to take my word. She keeps dying multiple times in the trial. Kai keeps saving her. And he almost kills his best friend forever, which is another side character, just like Adina. And his name is Jack. For some reason, him and Jax and Kit, the other brother, they grew up together, and he keeps referencing Jax as being like a brother to him, and everyone keeps saying that, like, they're like brothers. Jax keeps saying we're like brothers, and Kai keeps saying it. They never talk. I don't ever see them interact. I'm not sure why she wants me to believe this so bad, because she's doing a bad job at selling it to me. The sales pitch is not working of them being like brothers if they don't talk to each other ever in the entire fucking book. She could not sell that shit to me. I just, you know, didn't fuck with Jax. I'm not sure what she was going for, having him be like a brother and then having Kai's POV in there and not having them bond whatsoever. He almost kills his BFF, but then doesn't, and she is now in the resistance. Before that happens, they do rewatch the trials, the highlights, as I mentioned. They are not live streamed because there are certain people that are sights and they can record things with their eyes. And she's watching whatever happened. It was something in between them, her almost dying, I think. And so she sees Kai's reaction to her almost dying, and this is what she said. My gaze crashes into Kai's, ignoring his clenched jaw and taut brows. It's his cold eyes I focus on. I've never seen a stare so icy, yet so full on fire, off fire. The look in his eyes is chilling, and I shiver. It's like icicles, his gaze. Pretty but sharp, cool but deadly. Captivating but cutting. It's like icicle, his gaze. It's like his gaze. Shout out. I mean, okay, you tried. You know, you tried to do something here and it absolutely did not work. It actually backfired. For some reason, there was a poll on their popularity. I think I mentioned this before. This has absolutely no value, and I'm not sure why it was included, and I'm not sure why none of your friends like Nikki, I do remember Nikki, I do remember her name, told you to cut that shit out. The next trial, they climb Mount Kilimanjaro and she wins to capture the flag. That's the next trial summed up for you. Oh my god, the whole side plot with Kid. I know I said I wasn't going to talk about him, but I do have to explain to you because he does play a role. He is the future king. He is absolutely of no interest to anybody. He is so fucking boring, but also he has never once thought. Just like Kai. That's what they have in common. They're brothers after all. For some reason, in his entire life, I assume he's also like 20. He's never thought about the poor bitches that run the economy down in the loot alley. They're hanging out, him and Peyton, in front of a fountain that has money in it because people were making wishes, and she goes, well, money like this could feed dozens of aliens in the slums for weeks, months even, I say evenly, and yet here it sits wasting away for people's wishes. And then Kid is like, okay, I'll see about having it removed and distributed. And he goes, we made a deal, right? You keep looking at me and I'll keep listening to you? Oh yeah, because she doesn't look in his eyes because he has the eyes of his father, the king who killed her father. Or did he? We'll get to it. It's just like, you know, piece of love. Like, have you never critically thought in your life? And there's multiple instances like this where he's like, oh my god, I've never thought about my people. What the fuck kind of king are you? I don't get when people are... whatever. Monarchy. Abolish it. Yeah, right, she does join the resistance. We were talking about that. She joins the resistance because her dad was part of the resistance, of course. And they're like, do you want to join us and get us to execute our plan to get ordinaries back into the world because they're banished? And she's like, yeah, sure, I'll help you. Because my dad was part of the resistance. And then she joins them, and her mission is to figure out what secret passage of the castle leads into the bowl arena directly, because supposedly there is a secret tunnel that does this, and she can only find this out from Kit, which is really confusing to me because she's very evidently closer to Kai, trying to fuck him every second of her fucking life. And they're like, no, you can only, like, the only person that could possibly tell you is the future king Kit. And she's like, yeah, right, I'll figure it out. She does figure it out. Love her. She doesn't really ask this resistance any questions, and also their grand plan to reintroduce ordinaries into society is by talking to the king. What a great resistance. Those bitches are really resisting, you know what I mean? Like, they're really trying everything. There's a lot I'm skipping over, by the way, but most of it is just in between filler. There's a lot of filler. This whole book is a filler. As I said, their plan is talking to the king. The way I understood it is on the final trial. That's being held in the bowl arena. Because as we know, usually they're all held there, but the first one was in a forest and the second one was in Kilimanjaro. The last one's going to be in the bowl arena, and they decide they want to break into the bowl arena through the castle because one of the guards is part of the resistance, and it's coincidentally her guard. And then they stand in front of the people as ordinaries, and they show them, we are not sick. We are not spreading diseases. We don't have COVID. We are stronger than ever, and we want to be part of the society. And then everyone's gonna cheer and clap. And they're all gonna hug. Will you forever be the prize I am aimlessly trying to win? Is that all I am to you? A trophy? Oh, darling. Oh, yeah, he keeps calling her darling. I don't know if he's British. I don't think he is. People have a thing for the voice actor. They think the voice actor is really good. Can't speak on that. I don't know who the fuck that is and what the fuck he's doing. But I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that. Oh, darling, a trophy implies that I won it, earned it, deserve it. He leans in further, a certain reference reflecting in his gaze. But if I get to have you, it will be because you let me. I'm scared of him. You're not sober, so you're not allowed to touch me. Okay, consent queen. He does, and I actually found this a little bit appalling. I have to say, people found this cute. This entire interaction they found cute. He writes onto his hand, I can touch her when I'm sober, because he's like, I'm not gonna remember this in the morning. And he doesn't remember in the morning, but he sees this on his hand and he remembers. Like, okay, what the fuck are we doing? I don't know what I said last. Were we talking about him calling her a prize? You know what I have to say about that quote? I find it especially odd because he then doubles down and he's like, no, that's not what I mean. But you literally just said it. Oh my god, this entire video is such a process. I'm so glad when this is over. I can't do it anymore. Will you forever be the prize I am aimlessly trying to win? And then she goes, is that all I am to you? A trophy? And then he goes, oh darling, a trophy implies that I want it, earned it, deserve it. But if I get to have you, it will because you let me. So why did you say that then? Men. Or maybe I was talking about the fact that he specifically, this is so predatory in my opinion, wrote down on his hand that he gets to touch her once he's sober. And then he actually, like, executes on that. He's like, wait, I can touch you now? When they're, like, flirting, you know. And she's like, okay. I don't really remember. I'm just making things up. I know this video is endlessly long already. It doesn't need to be this long because not that much is going on in the book. Which is why I'm going to speed up the process and I might leave out some things, okay? Don't come for me. If you come for me, I'll come for you. Deal? Just to prove how cruel the King Edric is, he ... he made him climb the highest trees in the whispers over and over again until he was convinced Kai had gotten over his fear. What? What? My voice is shaky as the legs carrying me up the mountain. His own father forced him to relive oh my god. So embarrassing, I can't breathe. His own father forced him to relive his worst fear over and over again. It's not that deep. I feel like there's worse things than making him climb up a fucking tree. Peace and love. I feel like fear of heights is also such an easy cop-out for your main male love interest to have a fear of. Like, for some reason, they're always afraid of heights. You're not afraid of heights. You're just afraid of falling. Fool me once, shame on me. Oh my god, no, I don't want to read it. They're in a trial. I think it's the second trial, honestly. Again, I finished this book so long ago. This is all coming back to me now, but who's reading this unironically and not giggling? I giggled when I read this because I can't take it seriously. There's one dude, his name is Ace. No, you, baby. Who is mean to her. We have a mean woman and we have a mean dude. And she is about to kill him. And his power was like illusions, right? And he was trying to use illusions against her. And she saw through them. And then she goes, you think you can use myself against me again? My laugh is humorless. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice? Well, you won't get a chance to do that now, will you? Tips Fedora. She's having a conversation with Kai. They try to find a food that they both like. This conversation goes as follows. How about oranges? He makes a face. I don't like pulp. Fine. Bananas? I hate the texture. Like, fair enough. But what are we doing? What are we doing? This is happening, by the way, while they're playing Thumb War. As in Thumb War. I don't know. She's been trying to kind of convince Kit, the other prince, to go to the slums with her because he's never been. Because his dad didn't allow it. And he doesn't know how his people live, what his people live for, what the fuck is going on in the city. He's not a city girl. He's not a city girl. So she tries to convince him to go with her to see her people. But the reason she does this is because, of course, she's part of the resistance now after not asking them any questions. She just kind of joins. She doesn't have anything else to live for. And they task her with finding the secret passage to the bowl arena. And she thinks if she can convince Kit to sneak out with her into the city, she will find the secret passageway. And she does. She does find the secret passageway. He does show her immediately and explains every single step on how to unlock this passageway while they're doing it. It's genuinely so funny because he's like, you need to tap the second stone from the top in the dungeon, and then there's a key lock, so I always have the key lock on me. I never take it off. And then you put the key in, but then you have to switch this lever. And she's just there like, why is he mansplaining this to me? Alas, she gets what she wanted, which is the secret passageway. She wanted that. And she also gets an excursion with Kid. Nobody gives a fuck about Kid. He is the maven of this story. I very much think that in the second book, he's going to get the maven treatment too. If you don't know, you don't know. I'm not going to spoil for you. Maven is the other prince in Red Queen. It's just that the roles were reversed. Maven in Red Queen was the second-born prince, and the main love interest was the heir. And in this book, the main love interest is the president of the police. Whatever. I don't want to talk about it. There's a lot of theories about him becoming evil in the second book, and genuinely I think she's going to do it, but the reason I think she's going to do it is because she saw people talk about it online. So she was like, okay, why not? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry you had to live like this. He sighs as his eyes search mine. Thank you. Thank you for showing me this loot. My people. He pauses. You. Thank you for entrusting me with the details of you. I don't know. My note reads, why the fuck does he not know what his people are up to? I imagine there's quite a few. I imagine there's quite a few people. I don't know what I meant. And then, this is so fucking funny, honestly, in retrospect. But as I was reading it, I was so frustrated. She is hanging out with the resistance. And they're like, so what could you figure out about the passageway? You have one task that you had. And she's like, so, listen up. And then, this author, Lauren Roberts, honestly, should I put her on? No, I'm not going to put her on the hate list. Not yet. She thought the best way to have her main character tell these resistance people about the secret passage is if she, the chapter after finding the secret passageway, just rehashes the entire scene again in exposition. She wrote the entire thing that we just read down again a second time. After entering the tunnel through the last cell on the left, about halfway through, you'll see a fork in the road. The path to the left leads to the door by the training grounds, and the path to the right leads all the way to the bowl and the room underneath the box. There's only one problem. You need a key to get into the passage, and it just so happens to always be on Kit. Easy. Undress him. Nobody gets it in this book. It is YA. And Lauren Roberts has said that it will be YA. Like, she is not changing that. Which is fine, you know? Like, no hate to YA. There is YA out there that is good. This is just not one of them. Not sure what's going on now. Yet again, like, we're speeding this up and I also don't remember. But I have a really amazing quote. I think one of the resistance people says this to her because she's feeling kind of hopeless or powerless, you could say. You're Peyton Gray, silver savior, silver-tongued, and quick to shove her silver dagger into people. I think at this point, her kill count is 0. The whole dagger thing is so fascinating to me. What are we doing in 2024 writing about daggers every other page? I don't know. Every 5 pages, sorry, I don't want to overdo it. She doesn't even stab anybody. She doesn't even do it. You know what I mean? She doesn't even do it. Yet again, someone is, I don't know, being dramatic. She is a devil. She is a deity. She is a man's downfall in human form. She is my downfall. I'm not sure what the fuck his fucking issue is, but there's a lot of lines. Because beasts don't get the beauty. cut the cameras. Okay, there's a lot of lines where she is writing, like, out of Kai's perspective, she is this, she's not any of that. Peyton is literally not doing anything. I don't know where we're getting all of this from. She has a terrible KDA. Nothing about her is interesting. She has 0 flaws that could make her interesting, 0 thoughts that could make her interesting. She is the most plain, boring main character you could think of. And that's so sad. No, is it not? Like, how is this still... Ugh, whatever. Alas, as we all heard, beasts don't get the beauty. I'm getting, like, goosebumps. This is the same as the line I just read out. What did I just read out that I thought was cringe? Oh, fool me once, fool me twice. What are we doing? Ugh. Can't even put into words how much I dislike that, okay? But it gets better in a second, because first they kiss. They actually don't kiss. It just says his lips meet mine barely. I think they're about to fucking get it. Oh my god. You promised that I could touch you when I was sober. They also have a sleepover before this even happens, where nothing happens between them. Because she stole the key from Kit sneakily while they were dancing or something, doesn't matter. She gets the key, and then she can't sleep before the last trial, I think. And they have a sleepover. Then I wrote down, still unsure of... I'm just giving you the details of what I wrote down, and we just have to guess together what I meant. Still unsure of why they all have a ball before every trial where they get drunk. No reason behind it. I said that before, Sophie, don't worry about it. Oh yeah, there's a weird scene where she almost gets S8. Very random, very brief, like 1 page. And then Kai comes in and he's like, don't do that. Don't do that. And then... they kiss. All I'm asking for is a moment outside. Really? And what are you willing to get to get it? What's in it for me? Then he slings an arm around my waist, tugging me towards him. Wrong move. My fingers wrap around the handle of my dagger, feeling the cold steel I'm about to... Careful, she'll press that blade... Oh, I can't fucking read. Careful, she'll press that blade to your throat. I would know. Need Kai to leave me alone. I'm scared. I have nightmares about him. Kind of feel like he's one of those guys that would say, where my hug at? Okay, they are about to kiss, but they get interrupted by someone. I don't remember. I think like a guard. And he says, as they're about to kiss, and remember the line I just read out to you, now he says, oh my god, I don't even want to say it. Perhaps the beast can earn the beauty after all. Do you know Beauty and the Beast? Why is this a thing in this unit? What is she doing? Oh my god. The reason they got interrupted, I remember, is because the king watched him run after her because she wanted to go outside at the ball. And the king was like, I can't allow that. You with a peasant. And just because I don't know if I ever mentioned it before, all of the characters sound the same. They all talk the same way. There's no differentiating between, I don't know, like the people from the slums and the people in the castle that maybe would have different education levels. They cannot talk the same way because why would they? It's just not realistic. Okay. The POVs sound the same. You're sometimes barely able to tell which POV you're in because they both have the exact same thoughts the entire fucking time. And then we get a conversation with the king. And you know what the king says? After Kai says, this is bullshit, the king says, no, it's necessary. What's bullshit is that the people, my people just watched their prince, their future president of the cops, race off to the dance floor after a peasant. I may have changed some words. He does, however, say, you know what's bullshit. Like, what's bullshit? He says that audibly. In, like, how old is the king? What the fuck is going on? The final trial begins, and everyone's super excited to see. I already spoiled who wins it, but just pretend like you don't remember. It's a very anticlimactic trial that is exactly like the Triwizard Tournament, the maze trial, where Harry accidentally gets to meet Voldemort. Accidents happen. Exactly the same scene. It's a maze that changes. She at one point gets stuck with her foot in the maze and it won't let go. I feel like I've seen that before. The objective of this trial is to get to the middle because there's people there that need to be killed. Like, you need to kill a person in there who's a criminal. Mama, I'm in love with a criminal. And it's Adina. You guys don't remember who Adina is? That was her best friend that she never talked to and never talked about. Adina is in the middle because allegedly she was part of the resistance. I don't even know if it's explained. Again, there is a novella about her that people love. Sorry, it's not for me. I'm not gonna read it. Of course, our Queen Katniss / Harry Potter / Peyton Gray. Not sure why I didn't say Katniss's full legal name. She is baffled. She's like, what is Adina doing here? She's tied up. Her hands are broken. This is supposed to be really, like, heart-wrenching for you because we are supposed to be connected to Adina. We're supposed to love Adina. And she's a seamstress and her hands are broken. How could they do this? And then Bitchy Blair, the mean female character, comes around the corner and she stabs Adina with a branch, like, through her chest very much. It's giving Rue with the spear, and Adina dies. Rip. Sorry. Again, it's very anticlimactic for if you can't connect with the main character or any of the other characters, and I couldn't. And it says, this is not a goodbye, only a good way to say bye until I see you next. And that immediately, even if I felt anything for these characters, I would be like, sorry? Okay. After this, everything goes to shit because, as we remember, the resistance, right? They wanted to crash the last trial in the arena because they want to talk. They want to talk to everybody, to the elites that think they are disease-ridden and clear up some rumors, right? They want to wash their name clear or whatever you say. Of course, this backfires and Peyton has a face-off with the king. Not sure how they got into this position, but here we are. Admit it, I spit. You lied to create your elite society. There is no disease spread by ordinaries. We don't weaken the elites or their powers. And the king responds, I did what was necessary. And you have no proof. I just feel like the king is a very sassy, like... I don't know what the vibe he's giving, but it's not giving king. You have no proof. He has to add that on. He's like, where's the proof, girl? Show it to me. You can't prove me wrong. Yet again, something was cut out. I want to get this over with so bad. When she is fighting the king, she finds out that it wasn't the king who killed her father, but instead it was Kai. All her life she had assumed it was the king. Now the king is like, ha ha ha. Your father was the first person Kai ever killed. Why is Kid, Kai, and King? That's too many Ks. 3 Ks? What's she trying to say? Because otherwise the next clip doesn't make sense. What I'm about to say, you won't be like, what the fuck is she talking about? Love you. I'm unsure how she confused the king with Kai. We're going with it. It's okay. It's also one of the reasons she couldn't look the kid in the eye because he had his dad's eyes, and I thought she saw the eyes when the father was killed, but maybe I just made that up in my head. I'm just realizing now how close I was sitting this entire fucking video to the fucking camera. I want to be in your business. Like, by the end, this is the very end of the book, everything to me got, like, so unhinged line-wise. I feel like she truly didn't really know how to wrap it up and how to say what she wanted to say. Because tell me why she writes, it suddenly all makes sense. The attraction, the connection, the familiarity. I was so easily drawn to him, meaning Kai, because deep down I knew him, recognized him, remembered him. Because he killed your dad? You wanted to fuck him because he killed your dad? What are we doing? Anyway, the book ends by her killing the king. How? I don't know. I skipped it. I don't care. I just truly don't get the king's problem, if I'm being honest, with the ordinaries and everything. The whole concept of the world just doesn't make any sense. He hates the peasants, but the peasants run your world, but we hate the ordinaries, but why? because they spread a disease. But how, like, what are we doing? You could have oppressed them regardless. I feel like the whole disease excuse is just so unnecessary. She has a show off with Kit also, no, Kai, where they almost kill each other, but then he's like, no, you run away, because maybe I'll kill you in the future. Maybe. Eventually. So she runs away. She escapes. The last chapter is Kai talking to Kit, and Kit, now being the king because his father was killed, telling him to go get that bitch. Go get that bitch for me. That's it. That's powerless for you. This was such a long, excruciating fucking process. I don't want to talk about it any longer than this. And I'm just so glad that I don't have to continue this fucking series, you know? Ja? Hey! Ich film gerade. Ja, ich weiß, aber ich habe gehört, dass du heute deine letzte Klausur geschrieben hast an der Uni. Und ich bin so stolz auf dich und ich habe mir halt überlegt, dass ich dir gerne was schenken würde. Ein Geschenk? Ja, ich habe mir so Gedanken gemacht, über was du dich freuen könntest, und ich habe mir wirklich ein bisschen den Kopf drüber zerbrochen. Und ich hoffe, du freust dich drüber. Oh, okay, zeig. Okay. I was gone for the entire month of July because of my exams, and I felt really, really bad. I just could not make a video. I mean, you see how long this already took. Like, you don't know, but this took multiple weeks. It didn't need to be multiple weeks, it just was. And so to make up for my absence, I do want to put out 2 reviews back to back. And since it all lined up with the second book of the series coming out, I did go and get Reckless. I'm 100 pages in. I don't want to make any statements about it yet. You will have to watch the review. It's going to come out in a few days. When I finish this book, I'm going to finish it like in the next 2 days and then film the review, and hopefully it's not going to be as much of a process as this video was. I honestly just feel like with Powerless, there was no potential. Now that I've talked about it and you've come to the end, and I'm sure that people who truly disagree with me have already clicked off, I can confidently say this, that even though I said in the beginning I see potential in Lauren Roberts, now having already started the second book, I can talk a little bit more. That's a lie. There is no potential as of right now. The first 100 pages of Reckless read the exact same way that the entirety of Powerless read. And for her stressing the fact that there's 3 years in between the production of both of these books, and she's grown with the series and she's grown so much, that is not evident. It's not there. Obviously, you have to watch my review if you want to know what I say, and I can only judge it off of the first 100 pages, but I feel like I can already tell what direction this book is going into, and saying it's not like, then I'm gonna 9. The German in me, it's stopping me from continuing speaking. I think that you cannot accuse Lauren Roberts of plagiarism, because as Victoria Aveyard said in her TikTok video, it's so hard to do it in the literary world. So every story is based on something. And of course, there's varying degrees of that, how much you get inspired by other works. But I've told you a story about me wanting to write about the demigods camp. So everybody comes up with the same idea if they think hard enough, I think. Okay, I'm thinking a lot. Writing is not good. It's not any different from Powerless. Arguably, it might be worse even. Who knows what she will come up with after this series is over. I think that's more exciting to see, because I don't have any hope left into this series. And she's gotten to this point of fame now already, where it's interesting to see what she's going to do in the future, what she's going to do with it, because people now expect something from her. They expect more. And this was just a shower thought. Maybe both of these. Maybe she didn't even think about how the series will continue when she first wrote the first book. Maybe she didn't think that far, because she said that it was just a project for her. And maybe that's the reason it reads the way it does, so pointless and leading up to nothing. I don't know. You know, what am I supposed to say? Can you see I got a little trail for for the book to display it, but now I'm gonna put both of them here. Traitor Tormented. That's me right now. I'm being a traitor by reading the second book and I'm tormenting myself. Anyway, you can let me know what you thought about the book. I feel like this entire review was so much of me just not saying anything. There's nothing to discuss. Like, I truly... I'm doing what I can. I hope you still enjoyed this video. I'm sorry it was so yappery. Some people tell me they like it when it's yappery. Some people say, shut the fuck up. Again, the Reckless review is coming in the next few days. I'm gonna get it out quickly for you guys. It's only like I don't wanna lie. It's under 400 pages, so I should get my head in the game, I think, but... Make sure to follow me on Instagram at HonestlySophieYT and on Goodreads at HonestlySophie. I'm excited for the summer to be making more content for you guys. I'm going to be on a schedule for you because I love you and I love my members. It's for you. Thank you for sticking with me, and I hope you stay happy, you stay healthy, peace, and love, and hopefully I'll see you in my Reckless review. Bye bye.